Hi everyone, I'm Sandy and welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to reflect back on my 2022 reading and my 2022 content creator memories, and I'm going to do that through the book postscript tag, sometimes called the end of the year book tag. I did this tag last year and actually really like it as a way to kind of recap everything in 2022. So it felt appropriate to do it as the first tag of 2023. I actually was tagged by Steve Donahue to do this tag, and I'll leave his video linked in the description below for you. But the original was created by Adam over at MementoMori, and there's only 10 prompts, so it's not too intensive. But I am looking forward to talking through these because I do love these questions. All right, so the first prompt is the longest book you read this year and the book that took you the longest to finish. So for me, these are two very different books. The book that was, according to Goodreads anyway, the longest book was A Suitable Boy by Vikram Seth. This particular version is 1,474 pages. And so, yeah, it is a monster of a book. I actually ended up reading this just over a 2-week period in August. I did it as a buddy read with Fraser Simon from Springboard Thought. And thank you so much, Fraser, for agreeing to that incredibly fast reading schedule. I was trying to get this done before I left on vacation, and Fraser just came along for the ride with me. And so I really do appreciate that quite a bit. I did ultimately end up really liking this book. And yeah, it was just an interesting and different book that but yeah, it is an intimidating one, but it is one of those intimidating ones that I feel like is worth the ride. So A Suitable Boy, that is the longest book. Okay, but the book that actually took me the longest to finish was this one, War and Peace by Leo Tolstoy. I don't even know how many pages this particular version is. Different versions are definitely different page counts, and sometimes it seems like they might have been longer this one. I don't know, but this is the one that took me the longest to finish. It took me 5 weeks to finish this book off and on. I really did end up liking this one quite a bit. Plus, I still love this beautiful edition that I have. This is a Barnes & Noble edition that I got. It's just absolutely gorgeous. So I just like showing this one. But it is a long epic war novel though. And so it takes a toll to get through it. It's not one of those books that I could read quickly. I had to take my time with it. So War and Peace took me 5 weeks to actually finish. Okay. Number 2, a book you read in 2022 that was outside your comfort zone. So for me, I don't read a ton of sci-fi. I read very, very little, and I have been able to be part of a reading group this year, kind of impromptu reading group, which started with Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep, and the reading group is with Sarah from Freshly Read Books, Gemma from Gemma Books, and Fraser Simon from Springboard Thought. So we did start with that one, and then I think there was another one in there that I'm forgetting now. There might be, but we moved on. The other books that I would say were outside of my comfort zone were really part of this series, which are the Becky Chambers Wayfarer series. I don't have the first book, which is A Long Way to a Small Angry Planet, because I have loaned it to a friend. But these two books are very much outside of my normal kind of reading. I would say that this is a great series for someone starting to read sci-fi and really kind of dipping their toes in, because I really enjoyed it, and I do think it's a great starter way to kind of get into it. I think for people maybe who have read a ton of sci-fi, this may not be your favorite series. That's kind of what the group is almost experiencing a little bit, but I really am enjoying that, and I can't wait to read this one. I'm reading this one in January. All right. Ooh, hit my camera. Okay. Prompt number 3. How many books did you reread in 2022? I did not read many books. I think I reread 2. I just don't have time. I haven't had time to reread a bunch. I reread Where the Red Fern Grows, and I reread And Then There Were None in January, I believe, is when I reread that. So those are the only 2 books that I reread this year that I can recall anyway. And my prompt number 4 is, what was your favorite reread? And of course it was And Then There Were None by Agatha Christie. This book is just kind of the Agatha Christie I got started with and could not put down, and it did not disappoint me with a reread. I still, even though I had read it before and thought I knew who the murderer was, it still took me a minute to figure it out, because I was doubting myself, thinking that no, that couldn't have been that person. It had to be this other person. And yeah, so it was just as good on the reread. So yeah, and then there were none by Agatha Christie, who's my favorite reread, but I only had a couple. So yeah, this is my favorite one. All right, prompt number 5, a book you read for the first time in 2022 that you look forward to rereading in the future. This one was a no-brainer, easy one. It should probably come as no surprise, and it was Lonesome Dove by Larry McMurtry. This epic Western was absolutely fantastic. It is one of my favorite reads of all of 2022. I fell in love with these characters, Gus and Call and Lorena and everybody that's in there. And, you know, it really was probably, I don't know how to even describe it. It didn't even really feel like a Western. It just felt like an amazing, it just felt like an amazing story with a wide cast of characters, but I always knew where things were, who was who or who was telling the story. And so, yeah, Lonesome Dove, I can't wait to read this. I actually just finished Streets of Laredo by Larry McMurtry, which is book 2 in this series, and that is a lot of fun. I did this as a buddy read with Jack over at Spread Book Joy. But yeah, Lonesome Dove, I could see myself rereading it. I think it will hit me differently when I reread it, knowing how some things end. All right. Number 6, favorite single short story or novella that you read in 2022. So this one is also fairly easy, and I don't own a physical copy of this book, but it is The Nose by Nikolai Gogol. This is just a bizarre short story. I think it was the shortest book that I read this year at 40 something pages, and it is absolutely hilarious because it's all about this person who wakes up with no nose, and the nose is out on the town talking to people and planning strategies and doing a lot of stuff. And it was just so unique and different, and it was referenced in another book that I had read. I believe it was What I Love by Siri Hustvedt that referenced that book, which made me read The Nose right away. But it turned out to be just an absolutely fun, short novella. So yeah, definitely The Nose. Okay, number 7, Mass Appeal, a book you liked and would recommend to a wide variety of readers. This one was also a bit tricky, trying to figure out which one I would do, and I didn't want to pick 1001 book. So I actually went a little bit, again, kind of outside of my comfort zone, and this is actually for a fantasy novel, and I would say is it not quite middle grade, young adult maybe, fantasy novel, but it's all about a found family, and I really like the characters who always seem to be in constant peril, and that was Six of Crows by Leigh Bardugo. I haven't actually talked about this one yet on my channel. It'll be in my December wrap-up coming up, but I found this book really entertaining, very easy read. I read it with some of my coworkers, and I immediately went on and read Crooked Kingdom. So yeah, I think Six of Crows has enough appeal. It doesn't feel too teenage angsty-ish, and a lot of times you kind of forget, or I kind of forgot, who was what age they were. And so I think Six of Crows would appeal to a wide variety of people. Specialized appeal, this is prompt number 8, a book you like but would be hesitant to recommend to just anyone. So I am a big fan of the outdoors and survival stories and adventure stories, and the book that I read this year, I think I read it in June, that I would recommend to people who like that kind of story is actually The Ledge by Jim Davidson. This is the story of 2 climbing partners who climb Mount Rainier and end up with disastrous results through no fault of their own, though. It wasn't like they were unprepared. It wasn't like they were doing things that they're not supposed to do. They just got somewhat unlucky. And so it is a fascinating climbing story of survival, and it made me cry. What makes this one also special is it goes back and forth between his time on the mountain when he's trying to basically survive, and also back with when he was growing up with his dad and learning how to climb. So there's a lot of different aspects to this book that I just found particularly appealing. But if you don't like it outdoors, you don't like adventure stories, this might not be for you. But if you do, I would highly recommend this one. I actually went on to read another book by Jim Davidson called The Next Everest, which was a new release about his climbing Mount Everest, which I find fascinating given he had such a horrific experience on Mount Rainier that he went on to climb that massive mountain. All right, prompt number 9 says, reflect on your year as a bookish content creator. Goals met, good, bad memories, favorite videos you made, etc. So as far as goals go, my biggest goal that I worked towards was my 1001 book countdown goal, and I passed 100 books this year. I found that to be an amazing, amazing accomplishment that I am ecstatic about. I had not made that much progress on reading the books off of this list prior to that, so I'm thrilled with that particular piece of it. I also ended up reading 51 out of 52 books on my 2022 list, which is the first time I've ever been able to read quite that many. I think last year I had 2 left, this year I had 1. Absolutely incredible. And so those are really good kind of goals that I met. I did not set any kind of viewer, subscriber goals because I just really don't have any control over that. As far as good, bad memories, the good memories are absolutely the friends that I have made, the people I chat with all the time, the buddy reads that I've gotten to do, the live shows. I did a live show recently with Margaret Pennard. Those are all amazing things. And just, getting to connect with people. I had no idea that BookTube would expand my friend group so much and it just be so personally enriching, but it absolutely has been. Bad memories, the only real bad memories I kind of have relate around analytics, which I'm just learning to kind of no longer pay attention to, but it is taking me a lot of time. But that's really the only one. I don't have any real other ones out there. So favorite videos that I made, I absolutely adored the content that I made around my 50th birthday. I did the 50 books, 50 favorites of mine. I did 50 books you must read before you turn 50 according to Penguin. Both of those I really enjoyed. I also loved the content that I made around the 100 books. So I did my top 10 and my bottom 10. I did a recap of the first 100. I did a giveaway. All of those things just were so much fun to do. Those were probably my favorite videos across all of them. I still am really enjoying the 1001 book countdown videos. They may not always be the most watched, but they're my passion project. So yeah, I really enjoy those as well. I made a tag this year, which was great, to celebrate the 100 books read. I have a couple other bookish tags kind of hanging out in my head, so we'll see when my next one will be. But those are the end of the main prompts. The next one is just to tag some fellow bookish content creators, and I'm going to be the person this time that says I tag everyone. This one just feels like such a good recap one. If you're a content creator, I'd love to see your version of this. But for today, that's really where I'm going to end it. It has been a wonderful year, wonderful reading year. But as always, like, comment, and subscribe. And until next time, everyone, thanks, bye.